Welcome to Baseball Card Illustrated, the show about our national pastime illustrated with baseball cards. I'm Bronco, the PSA 11.
And trying to bump up to 70 miles an hour, I am your Diamond King, Kevin.
And this is 1990 Score. So in honor of opening day, or the weekend of opening day as we come off the field here.
The July version.
We bought a box of 1990 Score from the local card store. And we've opened most of the box, but we're going to send some of these out and see how many we can get autographed. And I thought those would show up better than that, but they don't. So I'll just put them back down here. How many we'll be able to get back, and we'll have those cards for you on Through the Mail Thursday right here on the channel. So you can probably hear that pack opening. This is pack one, and here's our leadoff hitter.
Oh, recently departed Tony Fernandez.
Tony Fernandez.
Man, great defensive shortstop. He's 1990, 30 years ago, and it's also the era of Stratomatic baseball when that was still really, really big with the dice, and Tony Fernandez was, he could play some Strato. He was, he played some defense, he could hit. Something good had happened in 1990. It wasn't the music. It had to be the baseball.
And the dice rolling.
And the dice rolling.
What kind of pitcher was Shane Raleigh on that game?
Shane Raleigh. I don't ever remember having Shane Raleigh on my Stratomatic team, but
probably all you need to know about Shane Raleigh then, right?
Tall and left-handed, what it looks like. He's got a lot of headroom. They wanted to make room. That's arm room right there.
I gotta say, there's a couple cards from this set as we've opened some of the packs off camera that kind of have these types of photos where there's a lot of extra room where I guess you kind of want to see the ball being delivered there,
right.
But looks a little strange. And there's Tom Brookins.
Wow. Tom Brookins, who is not Mike Heath. There's a little baseball card humor for you there. That's an 89 Fleer mistake where they switched Brookins and Heath.
I'm gonna say he's on the Yankees here. He spent most of his career, I don't know how many more years he played, but most of that career with the Detroit Tigers was part of the '84 World Series champions.
He looks a lot like Wade Boggs in that photo, doesn't he? Yankees hat.
And then Wade Boggs replaced him a few years later in New York.
They just wanted someone that looked the same. Boggs just showed up and took Tom Brookins' paycheck.
Who knew? You know who knew? Lee Guterman knew.
Wow. This is a tall lefty pack right here.
I think so.
I want to know how guys like this would do in the era of facing three batters. Because I have a feeling this is a lefty one-out guy right here. Like I kind of remember the career, but my guess is he's going to play 40 games and pitch 27 innings.
He actually went multiple innings in a lot of his appearances, according to 1990 Score.
Back then, I guess, though, one inning was not much for a reliever.
I was going to say the one-out lefty-only guy really didn't exist too much back at this point.
Tony La Russa was still figuring out the bullpen system.
About 15 years later, that would have been his calling, I think. All right, chat me up about Tracy Jones.
Oh, wow. Tracy Jones. Hey, solid contact there, Tracy Jones. I do like the in-game action of these shots because baseball cards have kind of gone from one way to another. Baseball cards for a while were like football cards. How every football card was a quarterback exaggerating this motion with his arm out, like exaggerating the passing motion. And
lineman with like the helmet off the top of his head as he stood on the sidelines.
Right. But you could never get any action from the game. And the thing about baseball is a good photographer catches the moment of impact. So there it is. That was my way of dodging the Tracy Jones question.
Bat's a little bit blurry there, though.
That's bat speed. I want to know the exit velo on that hit.
I don't think that was a thing back in 1990, was it?
No. Exit velo was how fast I got out of the ice cream shop.
So we've been keeping score of Team Bronco versus Team Kevin, and this is another point for Team Bronco. This is my left fielder, or I should say my designated hitter, Ricky Henderson.
So you've been keeping score, have you?
Thank you very much.
There's so many Ricky Henderson portrait type cards from this era because he was about to break the stolen base record and because they probably couldn't make him sit still long enough for an actual photograph, so they just did portraits of him.
I'm surprised he's not blurry with all that speed.
I want to see the back of this real quick. Dream Team, that's what I remember. Now, here's what I remember about this.
Wait, do I get bonus points because he's designated hitter on the Dream Team? I'm not going to take the point, but
what I want to know is why is Ricky Henderson a designated hitter on your Dream Team? Who is better in left field at this time than Ricky Henderson? He's an MVP.
Barry Bonds.
Right. In center, I don't know.
Maybe not defensively, but
DH? Like, come on. That dude's a gold, almost a Gold Glove level defender.
Yeah, I guess I was subscribing to the Oakland A's theory of we can just put anybody anywhere on the field and it works.
pre Moneyball is a little different era there, but this was kind of cool. That was a lot of fun. The Dream Team card.
So are you suggesting that Ricky Henderson could have thrown out Sid Bream?
Oh, he would have listened to Andy Van Slyke, that's for sure.
Would he? Ricky Henderson listen?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'm stretching it.
So score is now Team Bronco 10, Team Kevin 6.
Man.
And there's Joey Meyer for our troubles.
See, this to me is less about the guy and more about the laundry. Look at that Milwaukee Road jersey. The Brewers just retooled their look, and as I like the new look, I like that look the most right there.
Yeah, I was going to say that is definitely a classic jersey design and color
blue.
scheme. And Joey Meyer, a big guy to begin with, a big home run hitter. And I'm trying to see on the back of the card here. I know he had a game-winning home run against Roger Clemens during his time with the Brewers. And not sure if that was like 88, 89, 90, where it was in there, but...
Wow, look at this. Dave Johnson, second baseman for several teams, including the Orioles in the 70s, managed the Mets to a world title in the 80s, and now he's pitching in the 90s for the Orioles, and he's ageless. Look at him. Davey.
And then he managed the Orioles later.
Yes.
I don't know if that
couldn't get rid of him.
Was that an indication about how he pitched at the age of probably 50 at that point?
Davey Johnson. Man, that's great.
Little Mike Smithson coming at you there.
There you go. That's an old schooler too. I feel like every pitcher in this thing is 6'6".
Let's see, what did he measure in at? 6'8" for Mike Smithson.
6'8".
He's a tall drink of water there.
And Randy Johnson was just getting into the major leagues at this point, so 6'8" would have been like the tallest.
You know, he kind of looks a little like Dennis Lamp there. Got the mustache going.
Were all these ball players interchangeable back then? Is it that there were only 8 baseball players, but they just kept running them around to different spots?
I was going to say, like, we talked a little bit earlier about Tom Brookins. Like, you had to look like that to play third base back in this era.
I mean, if I cover this up and you say Dennis Lamp is facing Wade Boggs in a Red Sox-Yankees matchup, no one would know. I mean, that's incredible.
Wonder where Don Robinson checks in on this whole thing. Wait, how tall is he? He's only 6'4".
It's only 6'4".
A slight 6'4".
Coming off of the 89 NL champion Giants, Don Robinson started at least one of those World Series games, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. Was he the ace of that team? They had Rick Russell.
I was going to say it would probably have been Russell, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, we got Roger Craig over here, and you'll notice that card is now signed. You saw our last edition of Through the Mail Thursday. We talked about that card coming back, and now we've added it to our little backdrop here. So, first of all, thank you to Roger Craig for signing that card, and welcome to the team officially now as not only the manager of Baseball Card Illustrated, but a autograph signer for Baseball Card Illustrated.
Recently turned 90, so we appreciate the autograph.
So
we'll babe.
Clear the deck there and
you
drop a couple people behind and make room for Al Newman.
Al Newman. You were going to make room for Al Newman. He was the original utility guy, at least of that era for the Twins. You know, the Twins were pretty good. They won in '87, they won in '91, and Al Newman was playing every conceivable position, just sliding from place to place all over the field.
And did he play for anybody else? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware
I
of.
guess he broke in with the Expos, I guess, but he was a longtime base coach for the Twins at the end of his career, or after his playing career, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Al Newman is 60. He just turned 60.
Oh. We got Jeff Hamilton checking in.
All right, Hamilton.
What's amazing is he had this professional baseball career and then wrote a play that has.
Wait, do we have to wrap the rest of this?
I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
So we'll just go on to, well, it's officially an episode. We got a Ruben Sierra right off the first pack here.
So the thing about a Ruben Sierra card is would be the first time we've ever caught Ruben Sierra batting when it wasn't mid-leg kick. Because he had that huge leg kick. And that was how he was always captured on cards. So the leg did come down, folks.
There was a part of the swing in which the leg was not up in the air. Here's Rafael Palmeiro.
Wow. Sierra and Palmeiro, same team.
I'm going to say he signed for us fairly recently.
Rafi.
His policies on that have changed a little bit, as some of you might know. There's Kirby Puckett as we get toward the end of pack number 1. Probably don't need to say much about Kirby because we know about him.
Yeah, superstar.
So We'll wrap this up with good old Mickey Weston.
Hey, one of those 1990 rookies. Like, do you think these folks ever go back when they see this and think, man, at one point a baseball card set called me a 1990 rookie?
Not just a rookie, a 1990 rookie.
That's the most important thing. Mickey Weston ended up with one major league win in his career and an overall ERA in his career of 7.15.
Ooh.
So he is now in the ministry.
I suppose that's a good point in which we can go to break on. So we'll be back with more Baseball Card Illustrated right after this. Thank you for watching this edition of Baseball Card Illustrated as the Diamond King and I take a look at 1990 Score. Also, each week on the channel we have Through the Mail Thursday, where Kevin and I send out cards to our cardboard heroes from the Diamond, and some of them send them back signed. Now on to the next pack of 1990 Score, right here on Baseball Card Illustrated. Rounding first, heading into second here on the 1990 Score episode of Baseball Card Illustrated.
From the year that brought you Wilson Phillips, Sinead O'Connor, and Belle Biv DeVoe.
By the way, while we jump into, were there any more?
Sorry, that was the only
one.
Okay,
so as we jump into that, we got the MVP Sportflix type card here. 1969 National League MVP. We'll let you chew on that for a little bit, and then we'll come back and give you the answer later in this segment as we start with Nick Esaski.
Nick Esaski, great with the Red Sox, and did what every player that signed in Atlanta did: disappeared off the face of the earth. He was supposed to be this great signing for the Braves at whatever a huge free agent would command at the time, $1.5 million a year or whatever, and then he just disappeared.
You know who did not disappear is Will the Thrill Clark.
Oh, the sweet swinging Will Clark. Now remember, this is when Clark was either the batting champion or the runner-up in 1989. Let's take a look. 333 is what he hit. So picture a 333 hitter still driving in 100 runs. I mean, that's pretty strong. And remember, the Giants won the pennant. They beat the Cubs in the playoffs. Thank you very much. And then made it to the World Series in '89. And Clark and Kevin Mitchell were the most dangerous 1-2 combo at that time.
Actually, I'm going to skip ahead here to the...
Did you get 2 Will Clark cards?
Yeah, there was one card in between, but I just happened to catch it, and I figured I'd throw that up there. So
also, that's...
double the thrill.
Wow,
double the fun.
Except you didn't seem too thrilled. Look at that. That's a sort of just looking off in the distance there.
Well, you can't always be on your best for a photo. I don't know. Andy Allenson checking in now.
Oh, boy. There you go. Lefty pitcher. Twins about to be good again. Don't know if I know a whole lot about the... Oh, my goodness. He won 16 games in '88 and 17 games in '89?
Wow.
He was their ace.
So he went from Little League to the major leagues in 1990?
He had to, because 33 wins for the Twins over 2 years. Who would have known that?
I'm going to say, we know a lot about Frank Viola and Bert Blyleven and those kind of guys
but
that pitched
Alan
for the
Anderson,
Twins. But
man, that's crazy.
So here's the igniter, Paul Molitor. Now, I'm sure you got something about Molly here, but our first giveaway on the channel coming up fairly soon. We're going to send out a card to Paul Molitor through the mail, and when it comes back, those of you that voted in our poll on a recent Through the Mail Thursday will be eligible to win a card much like this, but not quite this card. It'll be signed by Hall of Famer Paul Molitor.
Wow. But what a tremendous hit. Another one of those, 3,000 hit kind of guys. Like he was, you say the igniter. He was a part of the Brewers team that did well in the 80s, part of the Blue Jays that won a World Series. He did some things in his career for sure.
I'd say just to look at the back of the card, he was a guy that could let off, got on base, stole bases, great speed, great base running in general, and played a lot of different positions. I think that's one of the things that's probably most forgotten about his career is that he played second, he played third, he played outfield briefly, he played a little bit of first base, obviously a designated hitter, so he kind of checked all those boxes.
Molly. Wow, Roger McDowell. So here's a guy who's been through like 3 different parts of his career, 3 different careers in his lifetime. So McDowell was one of the great relievers on the '86 Mets, and by this point, he's still going strong. He pitched for a while, but he wasn't quite the same guy. Then he got into the Rock and Jock thing. You remember MTV Rock and Jock? He'd have a tool belt. He would go to the mound with a tool belt, like he was doctoring the baseball with all these different, whatever tools that you were using. And now he's a pitching coach.
I'm going to say, of all the people that they could have had to be doctoring the baseball, I don't know if it would have been him that I would have gone with for that role, but
I mean, any Necro seems like
Right.
a pretty good choice off the
Gaylord
top.
Perry could have filled that role well.
But instead, it's literally Roger McDowell with like a handyman's tool belt standing on the mound. It makes me think of Eric Karros too, because he was the rock and jock
That's right.
champion of that time. Where's Dan Cortez these days?
I have no idea, but I do know where Gene Harris is. He's right there, not going anywhere.
He's in Seattle. That was that short-lived. There were a couple of these logos that didn't stick around very long. That S didn't stick around. Remember the White Sox had the cursive C?
Unfortunately, I do remember that.
Very short, both of those, and they were gone in a hurry. But
Well, what's funny too is I think that's one of the more memorable short-term logos, just because that's the one from Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie card.
that's right. Well, or the Ray Palacios card that we turned into a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
Here's another Mariner, Alvin Davis, a pretty powerful first baseman, left-handed hitter.
Yeah,
Back in the Kingdom era for the Mariners.
This Mariners team, this era, is Alvin Davis. Mark Langston's gone at this point, so it's literally Alvin Davis, and he's looking around and he's like, "Did I wander into a AAA clubhouse? Like, who are these people?"
I say they probably had Harold Reynolds still at that point, and that's about it, other than a young Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
and then a old Ken Griffey Sr.
Yes.
And I think Henry Cotto was hanging around there somewhere too.
Yeah, he always makes it better.
The straw.
Look at that.
I think that's our first Darryl Strawberry card we pulled on the channel.
Sweet swing right there, Darryl Strawberry. So in 1990, the thing that's forgotten to history, because the Reds won the 1990 World Series, but the Mets may have been the best team in baseball, but they ran into a problem. Kids, it's baseball strategy time. Darryl Strawberry, Dave Magadan was on that team. They had all these great left-handed hitters. Problem is, the Pirates in their division had all the great left-handed pitchers. And so the Pirates would stack it up where every time they played the Mets, all they did was throw lefties at him. So Strawberry would see lefties every at-bat for an entire series. And the Pirates won the division.
As you can see here, we flipped the card over so you can look at some of the stats. Darryl Strawberry's still in beast mode territory at this point.
He hasn't started throwing firecrackers. No, it was Vince Coleman, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mike Eldreddy. We're talking about uniforms with the Brewers there, but this is as classic a look as you're going to get.
Here's the thing. I know the Nationals are the champions of baseball, and I know they want to write their own history. But what would it do for the game if they wore these 20 times?
Well, do you remember during the World Series last year when they were down a couple games? I'm like, this is what they need to do. They need to go back to this uniform for a day to change everything.
The Expos were a cursed franchise, and now that the curse is gone, I think you celebrate it if you're the Nationals.
Absolutely.
I am all down for that.
Yeah, Mark Williamson here with the Baltimore Orioles.
Hey, another one of those 6'6" pitchers.
Let's say a Baltimore Orioles team that the picture comes from 1989, and that was not the greatest year in franchise history.
Oh, that's right. But the Orioles and the Braves were in a fight where, thank goodness, they didn't have relegation like soccer, because they both might have been AAA ever since, really.
Andy Van Slyke here, great outfielder. We actually just mentioned him a second ago, talking about Barry Bonds not wanting to move over a little bit for the big play in the '92 playoffs.
Yeah, that was Francisco Cabrera smashed this ball foul, and Van Slyke turned to Barry Bonds and said, "You might want to cheat in a step here. The runner at second is Sid Bream, who's the slowest land-based mammal there is." Bonds, we'll say for the family-friendly portion of this channel that Bonds reacted negatively to Van Slyke.
He said, "Wait a second," I think.
Yeah, that's what
One second.
1 second. And then he went on. By the way, one other thing about Van Slyke. You've seen these commercials lately with Frank Thomas and Van Slyke and Doug Flutie, right? Mm-hmm. Is Van Slyke a little juiced up in those commercials? Is he seems really juiced to be there.
He's happy.
He's twice the size of the man in this card.
He's Andy Van and Andy Slyke. And this is Kelly Gruber.
Oh, I can hear Tim Dillard doing his Tim Kirkjian. Have you ever heard that?
I don't know if I have.
Dillard crashed. They were at Brewer spring training, and Dillard crashed a segment. They were literally live, and Dillard crashed a segment and grabbed a microphone, and he does his Tim Kirkjian has that hoarseness. Mm-hmm. Kelly Gruber, the 1987, and the entire crew cannot he's crashed a segment. They're laughing like crazy. Kelly Gruber was a great third baseman.
Now, do you remember this card back in the day? Or this guy.
Eric Anthony.
This was one of the many guys that was supposed to be a big-time prospect. And unfortunately, he was one of the many guys that did not quite live up to that hype.
He was one of those power hitters. He's a left-handed hitter and a big-time power hitter. He had hit, in the 2 seasons leading up, he hit 57 homers, 29 in Asheville and then 28 in Columbus, and then hit 3 more in Tucson and 4 more with the Astros. But
and I think that was a career total of 4 with the Astros.
yeah, that's about it. He was going to be the future.
We got a couple of these 1990 rookies because there was like 700 of them in this set. We got Bobby Rose.
Wow.
And we'll go out on a high note here. Tino Martinez.
Look at young Tino. And it's the thing, this is one of those things where people forget that Tino wasn't just a Mariner. He was a pretty good Mariner for a fair amount of time. And everyone remembers him, obviously, with the Yankees in their big dynasty run. But, yeah, Tino was a Mariner.
Okay, your 1969 NL MVP, although I don't know that that's showing up very well, is... Well, we'll turn it over so that no one's thinking I'm making up the answer there. It's Willie McCovey.
Willie McCovey.
Before there was a Cove, there was a Willie McCovey.
And there was. He was, for 20 years in the game, he was fantastic. He was a Padre, speaking of weird player-team combinations. He was a Padre. It was toward the end of his career, not at the very end. He came back to San Francisco.
And we'll be coming back right after this. You're watching Baseball Card Illustrated.
Thank you for watching Baseball Card Illustrated, where you never know who we're going to find in a pack or what we're going to do with the card. If you enjoy what you're watching, please consider subscribing, giving us a thumbs up on this video, and leaving a comment down below. Now on to the next pack of 1990 Score with the Diamond King and the PSA 11.
It's the lightning round here on Baseball Card Illustrated as we go through 2 packs of 1990 Score fairly quickly. We'll give you one trivia question right off the top, though. It's AL MVP, and I don't know why I'm even putting that up there. It's not like this is helpful anyway. Yeah. AL MVP in 1978. So while you think that over, here we go. Joe Orsulak leading off.
He was a Pirate, he was an Oriole, and I think he only bunted.
And here's another guy that played for just about every team, Alejandro Pena.
Oh my goodness, wow. Starter, reliever, Dodger, Brave, Twin, I think. He was everywhere.
Danny Jackson, left-hander from the Reds. Did you know he won 23 games in 1988?
Yes, that was because they made a trade for Kurt Stillwell, and it turned out pretty well that year.
Kevin Bass.
Oh, largemouth.
Hey-o.
Hey.
Gene Larkin likes that. Look at the smile on his face there.
There's a good Larkin and a bad Larkin. That's the bad Larkin. Except for that World Series in '91.
There's a Dream Team card of Tony Gwynn.
He's a little thinner there. That's early enough where you're still pretty thin.
Cal Daniels.
Great hitter, not a good fielder at all, and kind of bounced around a lot.
The Quiz.
As a Cardinal. That's another one of those, can you believe he played for them cards?
And apparently there's a little lipstick on the card there, too.
Hey.
I don't know what that is.
You know.
How about a Hall of Famer? That's right, it's Harold Baines time.
Harold Baines.
With the Texas Rangers?
What?
That's still, I know it was a thing. I know it happened. I remember it happening, but it still doesn't seem quite right.
We've seen Sierra Palmero and Harold Baines. How did that team not win a World Series? And Nolan Ryan was on that team. How'd they not win a World Series?
By the way, I know the day's passed by about a month now, but happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
He's making $1 million plus a year for another 20 years, roughly. Pete O'Brien, first baseman. This is the kind of player that would not exist today in baseball. There's nothing wrong with him in that era. A player of that size would play. It's like football. You're that size, you play a different position now.
Mike Moore.
Okay, so what's Mike Moore's, real quick, his stats here from '89. He won 19 games in 1989. You believe that?
Oh,
19 games.
I thought there was a follow-up to that. I believe it.
For all the Bob Welches and Dave Stewarts and so on, all you had to be was Mike Moore to win 19 games for the '89 A's.
I was going to say, and then Bob Welch had his huge year right in that era.
Yeah.
Ken Oberkfell, who we got back through the mail fairly recently.
I have a picture with him when I was 12 or 13. We might have to put that up on your channel here. Dan Schatzeder. Oh my goodness. That's fantastic. He's a guy that played for a different team every year. He just showed up.
Did they have any lighting in the Astrodome? He seems well lit, but the background does not.
Yes, he's lit only on the one side. Apparently there's only sun on first base in this one.
Oh yeah, Danny Darwin.
Danny Darwin.
And your 1990 rookie. That's right, it's Jason Grimsley. We're going to clear the deck here.
There you go.
And we'll go with one more pack here on the lightning round on Baseball Card Illustrated.
As you do that, I'll look at Jason Grimsley, who he's 11 wins in AAA coming in 1989. Oh, Bob Walk.
Still an unfortunate name for a pitcher.
Seriously, and he had a great career. I mean, great. He was a long career as a pitcher.
Now,
Name Walk.
You just talked about this hat, Chicago White Sox there, being worn by Richard Dotson.
Honestly, he looks unsure of himself there, and part of it is the hat.
I think the other part is he thinks he should be on set for the Family Feud. Donnie Baseball checking in.
Hey, well, let's talk about classic for that era. Just quintessential for that era. Mattingly, of course, amazing for many years. John Franco. He was a guy who was around forever.
I was going to say, he was another guy that had a, what's a nice way of putting it, a long, productive career?
Yeah. He couldn't go, he wouldn't go away, basically.
Got Randy Bush.
The Twins were basically Kirby Puckett and 12 utility players.
Oh, you're going to like this next card. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm not talking about this Craig Biggio, which is also pretty solid.
Nice as a catcher. Look at him early in his career. Who would have thought that he would have the career he had?
But let's move on to this one here. How about that one?
Hey, again, iconic. There's some iconic photographs in here.
Now, a year later, or maybe, what did we open last time? Was it 91 or 92? Might have been 92. We got that classic photo of him without the shirt on, with the football pads and the bat and everything.
Yes.
This is a nice card, but that one is one of the classics of all time.
Because there's not a player like that. You couldn't do that in 2020. Jose Uribe. You know my very fast Jose Uribe story. Phil Niekro's last at bat as a professional. He was like 46 years old, seriously. Hit a grounder to short, and Uribe threw it, I'm going to say, between a dozen and 15 rows deep up the first baseline. Both teams were terrible. It was the last game of the year. They gave him one.
Rick Sutcliffe.
Man, this is somewhere between his amazing 1984 and...
I was just going to point out that 84 season. There's the back of the card.
He went to the Cubs in a trade and went 16-1. Is that what I'm looking at there?
Kind of hard to see from a distance here. 16-1 with a 2.69 ERA.
Cubs made the playoffs. Here's the crazy thing. You know who they gave up? Joe Carter, Mel Hall, and there was a third player. Like, the Indians may have lost that half a season from Sutcliffe, but they did okay.
I was going to say, and the Indians were nothing special in 1984,
That's
so
right.
it worked out well. Here's Dennis Cook.
Dennis Cook.
Here's another guy that had probably one of the better under-the-radar careers of any pitcher, Brett Saberhagen.
I've never seen it spelled with that many letters. I always thought it was just 6. RBI baseball joke. All consonants. SBRHGN. He was a beast in RBI.
You got me on that one.
Wow, look at
Kevin Brown.
young Kevin Brown. Turned out to be a force for a good decade in baseball, maybe longer, through a no-no.
Mike Krukow.
I feel like Dwayne Kuiper has to be right next to him, right?
How about Mike Scioscia?
Oh, and Scioscia was, even in 1990, was still a productive. He was a decade into his career. He was a good catcher before he was a manager.
Former Red Sox third baseman Scott Cooper, a 1990 rookie.
Okay, so kids, here's a rule. Don't play the same position for the same team as one of the greats of a generation. It's going to hurt your rookie status a little bit.
And finally, from the Omar Minaya School of Baseball, that's right, it's a New York Met, it is Keith Miller.
Keith Miller got the hips open, swinging at that ball. I'm sure he was one of many that were trying to take over in that middle infield for the Mets. They had so many star players, but then they had all these dudes that were so close to the breakouts. Tim Tuffle, Kevin Elster, Keith Miller, Greg Jeffries, like all these
Wally
guys.
Backman was part of that mix.
Oh my gosh. All these guys that were supposed to be great, and they could never get it solved up the middle.
So, if you're wondering, 1978 American League MVP was Jim Rice. And we'll be back right after this on Baseball Card Illustrated.
Thank you for watching this edition of Baseball Card Illustrated. Kevin and I appreciate your support of the channel, and we are pleased to announce a brand new series, Hoops Wednesday. Each week, check out what basketball autographs we picked up through the mail as we branch out to a brand new sport on the baseball and sometimes basketball Card Illustrated channel. Now, let's finish off this look at 1990 Score.
It's time for the final inning here of 1990 Score. It's Bronco, it's Kevin the Diamond King, and it's
Roger Craig, 90 years old, with an autograph there.
and this guy. I didn't even look at it. Who is it?
Joe, is that Skalski? Is that Joe Skalski? That's a name
I
do not
don't remember seeing his plaque at the Hall of Fame, so let's move on to Lou Whitaker.
Who some people think should have a plaque at the Hall of Fame.
It's an interesting, compelling argument. I guess you could have one way or the other. By the way, 1983 American League MVP. We'll let you think that one over for a little bit while we talk Chris Sabo and the Rec Specs.
Oh, the Rec Specs. This would have been right after that amazing 88 rookie year. He's 2 years into the league. He's a great player in the beginning.
I was gonna say he was managing in the Northwoods League, a summer wood bat league for college age players. A lot of them end up getting drafted. Some are in the major leagues right now.
Who was he managing? What team? Do you remember?
I believe it was the Green Bay team, the Bullfrogs,
Bullfrogs,
who are now the Booyah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When crossing the line on team names goes too far, booyah.
Booyah! That's what,
Rumble ponies.
well, what about that new Seattle NHL
The
team?
Kraken. Release the Kraken.
Quentin McCracken.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, there's Matt Noakes.
He was releasing the Kraken on pitchers back then.
I was going to say, I think he's looking for the Kraken.
That's it. That was a short career, too, for a guy that was so good in the beginning. He was one of those... You're a baseball card collector. He was a desirable card early in his career.
Let's say, let's throw the stats up here. He had 32 home runs in 1987, followed it up with 16 the year after that. And by just about the time that this card would have come out, Mickey Tettleton was taking over the job in Detroit.
Wow. And Tettleton was a power hitter of himself. Tigers had a good run at catcher.
I was going to say, the Tigers have had some power-hitting catchers through the years, that's for sure. Here's Brett Butler, who I'd like to point out we're still waiting for a response from on Through the Mail Thursday.
Oh, is that true?
He was one of the very first cards we sent out, and we have not gotten a response from him.
That's
now,
upsetting.
Supposedly, he usually takes about 100 to 120 days, so nothing to get worried about. We're in that window, but
He's out golfing or something, or reminiscing about making the World Series in '89.
I'm going to say the good old days with his buddy Roger Craig there.
Babe.
Okay, Jim Abbott threw a no-hitter, but this is not him. This is Kyle Abbott.
Kyle Abbott. So here's the thing. The baseball god said that he could not be great because if you had a Jim Abbott and a Kyle Abbott on the same team, it was going to be a problem.
Let's see, there's been a few people, legendary Abbotts in the whole world of entertainment. Abbott and Costello, Jim Abbott, and, well, we got Kyle Abbott.
Kyle Abbott, who won 4 games in his major league career and lost 17.
Ooh, that is not getting it done.
That's going to get you a season in Japan. Which
He did not last long in the major leagues.
Okay, you could really have a lot of fun here if you're the manager of the White Sox at this time. You've got Bill Long as your short reliever. I mean, that's a great way to go. My guess is Bill Long was probably a long reliever, but
I'm going to say, and this is the point in which the White Sox are starting to get pretty competitive.
yeah, Frank Thomas has come along. Jack McDowell's not that far behind. Bill Long, by the way, 85 to 91. White Sox for literally almost the entire time of his career. 27 and 27 lifetime.
Okay, so we've improved this Kyle Abbott card and made it a Jim Abbott
Yes!
card.
Oh, you just doubled the value
So-
of it, at least.
We could also commemorate his no-hitter that would come a couple
Yes.
years after this card. So all kinds of way to repurpose a Kyle Abbott
It
card.
doesn't look like Jim, but that hat tells you it has to be Jim.
Yeah, and that would have been about the right time.
Mm-hmm. How about that?
There's Deion James.
I thought it was Kenny Lofton for a second. I think Kenny looked at old Deion James cards to perfect his form there.
Fortunately, the back of the Kenny Lofton card would look a little bit better when it came to the statistics.
No doubt.
Carmelo Martinez.
Wow. And there's another one too. Like those Padres uniforms were around a little while, but the ones before were glorious and the ones after were a little more modern. This was their tweener phase.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were morphing into a different direction, I guess, and is a way to put it. Here's Tim Belcher.
Yeah, that's a guy that was around a long time too. Dodgers pitcher. Dodgers just have had so much history, decades and decades. Great pitchers.
There's John Morris.
Cardinals outfielder, huh?
Got Mike Fitzgerald. We're
Underrated catcher on that one.
well, I'm looking at the rest of this pack.
We're going to obscurity here. How obscure
Yeah.
can you go? Hit me. Oh, Mickey Hatcher. Well, okay.
I'm gonna say not obscure, but definitely not a star.
But that's a guy. He has a World Series. To his credit, like he's been a part of things.
I'm gonna save this card here for last as I'm flipping through them. We got the mayonnaise guy, Helmond. Hal Morris had a decent career.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't have been that upset
Yeah,
about
he's
these
not.
last
He's
four
not
cards.
too obscure.
Yeah.
That's a rookie, and he was. You remember he was the happiest feet in the batter's box of any player I think I've ever seen. He would stand way off the plate and literally jump in and then take his cut. Of course, he was famous with the Reds more than the Yankees. But
And here's Frank Williams. I'm going to let you say something, and I'm going to go find something here real quick.
Frank Williams.
Archives.
So, we're gonna have to get to the back of this Frank Williams card to check this out here. And by the way, since we're on it, we're talking designs. These are very simple, classic type of designs. I think this is kind of an underrated set, to be honest.
I agree. It looks pretty nice signed, I think.
Yeah, the
Like
colors.
we're still waiting for a couple cards to come back, but
The colors pop fairly well, and the backs are clear. That kind of thing looks good.
so very first episode of Baseball Card Illustrated, we pulled this Frank Williams,
Huh?
same guy. But do you remember my joke about him?
No.
I think this is Larry from Three's Company.
Oh my goodness! So wait a minute. Is it the theory that we've had on Baseball Card Illustrated since day one is that Roger Craig can turn anything into greatness. So under Roger Craig, Frank Williams is Larry from Three's Company. 3 years later, he looks like he's kind of bumbling a throw to first. Maybe I don't know what that is.
Well, his career was over because no longer was he under the tutelage of Roger Craig. Three's Company was off the air by 1990, so now he had to kind of make it on his baseball merits, which, as we take a look at the stats here,
Probably
were,
not so much, right?
not bad as a reliever, to be perfectly honest. A bunch of years with ERAs in the range of 2. There was one where he was in the 1, so he was getting it done under Roger Craig, but
This was
and with the Reds for that matter.
This was the end of his career. That Tigers year there in '89, he was done in Major League Baseball after that.
So
He went from Larry to done.
So there you have it. That's all you wanted to know about Richard Klein, who played baseball as Frank Williams. And your 1983 American League Rookie of the Year, as we wrap up another edition of Baseball Card Illustrated. You know who it was?
'83 American League MVP. Wow, I feel like I should know this. Now you're gonna have to hit me with it. Cal Ripken would be my thought.
There it is.
Hey,
Cal Ripken. I was just about to say I'll give you a short amount of time to think it over.
Cal
Hey-o.
Ripken. Short, but not long, like Bill. Of course, they made the series. They won the series in '83, and Cal Ripken Jr. was still young and playing every day, literally.
So there you go. That is a look at 1990's score. We're going to send some of these through the mail and try to get them signed, and we'll keep you updated on our progress there on Thursdays on Through the Mail Thursday. So for the Diamond King Kevin, I guess I could have let you say your own name, right?
Ruptured Achilles, ruptured something.
I'm Bronco, the PSA 11. Thank you for watching. This is Baseball Card Illustrated.
PSA 11.